Hey everybody, I hope you had a great Easter, and today's the day after Easter, and we're going to talk about one of the stories after Jesus has risen. So we're going to talk about one time he visited the disciples. So go ahead and listen to this story. Later on, Jesus revealed himself again to the disciples at the Sea of Galilee. This is what happened. Simon Peter, Thomas, Nathanael, James, and John, and two other disciples were together. Simon Peter told them, "I'm going fishing." They all told him, "We will go with you." So they went out and got in the boat, but they didn't catch anything that night. Just as dawn was breaking, Jesus stood on the shore. The disciples didn't realize it was Jesus. Jesus asked them, "You don't have any fish, do you?" They answered, "No." "Throw the net on the right-hand side of the boat," Jesus said, "and you'll catch some." So they threw out the net on the other side and were unable to haul it in because it was so full of fish. John told Peter, "It is the Lord." When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put his outer coat and jumped into the sea. The other disciples followed in the boat, dragging the net full of fish. When they arrived at the shore, they saw a charcoal fire with fish laying on it and some bread. Jesus said, "Bring me some of the fish you've just caught." So Simon Peter went aboard and dragged the net ashore. It was full of large fish, 153 of them. And although there were so many, the net was not torn. Then Jesus told, "Come have breakfast." Now none of the disciples dared to ask him, "Who are you?" because they knew it was the Lord. Jesus took the bread, gave it to them, and did the same with the fish. This is now the third time Jesus revealed himself to the disciples after he had been raised from the dead. When they had finished breakfast, Jesus asked Simon Peter, "Do you love me more than these?" Peter told him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus told him, "Feed my lambs." Then he asked Peter a second time, "Simon Peter, do you love me?" Peter told him, "Yes, Lord, you know I love you." Jesus told him, "Take care of my sheep." He asked him a third time, "Simon Peter, do you love me?" Peter was deeply hurt that Jesus had asked him a third time. So he replied, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus told him, "Feed my sheep." When you were young, Peter, you would fasten your belt and go wherever you liked. But when you got old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will fasten your belt and take you where you don't want to go. Jesus said this to show by what kind of death Peter would have to glorify God. After saying this, Jesus told him, "Keep following me." Peter turned around and noticed John following them. "Lord, what about him?" Peter asked. Jesus told him, "If it is my will for him to remain until I come back, how does that concern you? You must keep following me." So the rumor spread that John wasn't going to die. Yet Jesus didn't say that. But if it's my will for him to remain until I come back, how does that concern you? It was John who wrote all these things down. So this is a really interesting story. So Jesus never tells them who he is, does he? He just all of a sudden they catch so many fish and they know it has to be Jesus. But this is not the first time they've seen Jesus after he died on the cross. They've seen him a few times. So it's a little bit less surprising to them. But Jesus catches them all the fish. He performs kind of a miracle to get all the fish caught. But what's really interesting about this story is the conversation he has later on, where he keeps asking Peter if he loves him. And he keeps saying, "Feed my sheep." Do you know who the sheep Jesus is referring to are? That's right, the sheep are all of God's people, all of us, and everybody who has come before us and everybody that will come after us are God's people, and we are what Jesus is referring to as his sheep. Jesus is the good shepherd. He takes care of us and loves us all, but he's not on earth with us, and the disciples were staying on earth, so he was setting out their mission to take care of all of God's people on earth. So that's what the disciples went out in the world and did. They took care of everyone. They spread the word of Jesus. And that's what we continue to do today in the church. So we're going to make a craft that's a fish. That's what Jesus helped them catch, right? For this craft, you're going to need some paper that's your favorite color, some white paper, a marker, scissors, and a stapler. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold my colored paper in half. Then I'm going to draw a fish body. So I'm just going to draw a curve and then out into its tail. Just like that on my colored paper. Then I'm going to cut it out. Now I'm going to flip my paper the other way to hide my black lines that I drew. And then I'm going to staple it at its tail like this. So then I'm going to press it like this to just kind of open it up and make that top part a little bigger. And then I'm going to cut a couple fins for my fish. And then I'm just going to staple those onto my fish as well. You don't want to staple the top part, you just want to staple the bottom part of the paper to make your fish a little bit more 3D. So make sure you actually get the fin stapled. There we go. So that's my fish's body. Then I'm going to take my white paper and I'm going to cut out 2 circles on my white paper. And these are going to be my fish's eyes. So I'm just going to put a black dot in the middle of each of my circles. And then I'm going to take my glue. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of glue on the other side. And then I'm going to glue those onto my fish. And then you can take your marker and decorate your fish. You can put some scales on him. Some scales on his fins. There's your fish. So I hope you had fun making your craft this week. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you on Sunday. Bye!